Okay, next question. So we're still simplifying with restrictions. All right, so the first thing that you're going to have to do here is find a common denominator. And the added um, complexity of this question is that you need to factor. Okay, here's the thing. I got 5a on the top and a squared minus 3 on the bottom. I've got a's in all my terms, so I know I can cancel. So if I factor out an a, then you can see it maybe a little clearly. So the a's here are going to cancel out, and you're just going to be left with 5 over a minus 3. Okay? So now we're down to this step. Okay? And here's where you're still looking at common denominators. And hey, they're both the same. So once you actually took that common factor out, you made the question easier for yourself. Okay? So sometimes it's a bonus that it works out that it actually cancels, but otherwise it makes it a little bit simpler. Okay? So factor everything. Okay? So here, you're keeping your common denominator, and then you're just subtracting 5 minus 4 to get your new numerator of 1. So final answer is 1 over a minus 3. Now, you have to go back and look at your fully factored line. So here's your fully factored line. You need that for your restrictions. Okay? It doesn't want to do that for me. Anyways, all right, so the a, that's all by itself out front, has a restriction of 0, okay? Because think of it in its own little bracket. If the bracket was equal to 0, then the fraction would equal 0. You'd have an undefined question here. So a cannot be equal to 0. So inside the bracket, a wouldn't have to, if a had a value of 3, it would make that bracket equal to 0 as well. So 0 and 3 are your two restrictions, because again, the second fraction had exactly the same as the first. It had an a minus 3. So I don't have to write the 3 twice. Once it's written there, it will apply to as many a minus 3's that you have in the question anyways. Okay, and since it's a common denominator, then it works out nicely. So, final answer, plus the restriction. All right, next question. Again, I see my denominators here simply need to be factored. You cannot give me a common factor for a denominator or a nice common denominator if you don't factor these. Okay, so they're simple trinomials. Factor them. Maybe something will be in common here. So two numbers that multiply to 40, subtract to 3, so 8 and 5. Different signs, larger number takes the negative. So it's x minus 8, x plus 5. Oh, and the way it worked out, I had an x plus 5 on the top. So technically, this and this cancel each other out. So that worked out really well. So that reduces to 1 over x minus 8. So there's my new simplified fraction from here to here. Looking at this one, again, factoring this, two numbers that multiply to 12, add to 7, got to be 4 and 3, both the same sign, both positive. So x plus 3, x plus 4. Oh, and again, we're in luck. X plus 3 on the top cancels out with x plus 3 on the bottom, and you are left with 1 over x plus 4. So I have got 1 over x minus 8 minus 1 over x plus 4. So here's the step where you're going to have to find your common denominator. Okay, so you're going to use both x minus 8 and x plus 4. Numerators are both 1, so it's going to make it maybe a little bit easier for calculations. So what did you multiply? Oops, I guess I went up too far. What did you multiply x minus 8 by? Well, you multiplied by x plus 4. So whatever you multiply the denominator by, you multiply the numerator by. So x plus 4 gets multiplied by 1, so you get x plus 4 on the top. Same thing with this one. What did you multiply by x plus 4? Well, you multiplied by x minus 8. So it gets multiplied top and bottom. So you're left with x minus 8 on the top, and you've got your two brackets on the bottom. Okay, so now your next step is going to be to combine and put it all in one fraction. So x minus 8, x plus 4, that's your common denominator. Now let's look at the numerator. The x plus 4 in the first fraction just gets carried down, okay? However, because there is this wonderful negative sign, okay? You're subtracting everything on the numerator here. So you keep a bracket around the x minus 8. Otherwise, you're going to have the wrong signs. So you're subtracting everything in that bracket. So subtracting x and subtracting negative 8. So when you look at this next line, you have to carry the x plus 4 down, and then you're going to subtract x, and then you're going to subtract negative 8, which is actually adding 8. Makes a big difference. So you have x plus 4 minus x plus 8. So x minus x, they cancel each other out. 4 plus 8 gives you 12. Again, the denominators haven't changed. There's still going to be x minus 8, x plus 4. So final answer is 12 divided by x minus 8, x plus 4. But now we have to consider restrictions. And again, you want to do the restrictions from the fully factored line. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to erase what I have up here and look at the fully factored line. So we've got 4 brackets because we did some canceling. So we have x minus 8, so the restriction for x minus 8 would be positive 8, okay? And then x plus 5, so the restriction would be minus 5. So I got that, and I got the 8 too. The next one was x plus 3, so the restriction would be negative 3, so that's my next one. And then x plus 4, again the restriction would be negative 4. So there are 4 restrictions here, okay, that you have to consider for this particular calculation. So there are 4 numbers that x cannot be equal to actually have a valid answer, okay? Now again, if x was one of these numbers, you'd have an undefined solution, okay? All right, hopefully that helps you out with restrictions, and hopefully coming up with common denominators for any type of question now is going to be a little bit more simplified for you.